Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Born to be Wild Listener Series, Season 6, Week 3. My name is Nate Wolf from the Born to be Wild podcast, and I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Hydralisk, and our special guest, Azalea Akari. Welcome back. How are you guys tonight?
Doing great. We just came off a great podcast, and super stoked to watch this week's highlighted Listener Series match.
Yeah, Azalea, I'm so happy to have you with us. Casting is very special, so thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here, and casting is something I've always enjoyed doing, so I'm looking forward to this match.
We've got a really fun show match tonight. It'll be SchmoopieDaddy from our podcast versus Stazari. It should be a lot of fun, both very good players, and we will look at their decks in just a moment. For anybody who's not familiar, the Born to be Wild Listener Series is a weekly Wild Hearthstone tournament series that is built around special deck building restrictions, and there is a lore component as well. And so each week there is a different challenge based not only on kind of whatever wacky challenges we come up with, but also the story on our current Hearthstone expansion. So this time we're focusing on the Lich King and the story there. But first, let me talk very quickly about the format. So this series is played in the Conquest format. So here's how it works. Each week, players submit 4 decks consisting of separate classes. Classes and deck lists are hidden until after the weekly submission deadline. Once classes and deck lists are revealed, players have an opportunity to review and ban one of their opponent's decks. Ban selections are hidden until both players have submitted their bans, at which point they are revealed. In the Conquest format, when a player wins with a deck, that player must then move on to a different deck. The losing player may switch decks, but is not required to do so. The victor is the first player to win matches with all 3 decks. And then quickly looking at our lore segment, we are now in week 3, which is entitled The Plague of Undeath. And our lore master, Goliath the Dwarf, has a beautiful narration here that I'm going to play for you.
Once their preparations were complete, the cult of the damned unleashed the Plague of Undeath on the kingdom of Lordaron. In response, the Prince of Lordaron, Arthas Methial, and the powerful mage Jaina Proudmore tracked the plague to its source, Kel'Thuzad. After Arthas killed the necromancer, he tracked the dreadlord Mal'Ganis to Northrend, where he embraced the power of Frostourne and became the first Death Knight, a champion of the Lich King.
All right, and I will turn the mic over to Hydralisk to look at this week's challenges.
So this week's primary challenge, investigate. Each deck must include 6 cards with the discover keyword. The secondary challenge that we have is Plague of Undeath. Each deck must contain at least 6 minions with the Reborn keyword. Our other rules, each player must bring 1 Death Knight deck. It cannot be banned. And the Scourge grows once again. Each deck must now contain at least 6 undead minions.
All right. Exciting. Now, we've got the deck list for both players here. So I've got Stazari on the screen first. Stazari brought Death Knight, of course, Warlock, Mage, and Paladin. And looking at the bans, SchmoopieDaddy banned the Warlock deck here.
I mean, it's got Gigafin. I would have banned it too.
Yeah, so like looking at the list, I think that the Curse Lock makes a lot of sense for Schmoopie to ban. So the Death Knight is a triple unholy Death Knight. We have a 40 an XL Secret Mage.
Ooh, okay.
We have a Making Mummies Quest Paladin, which, and I mean,
it's exciting to see that quest.
It's exciting to see the quest. It's pretty.
That is
high.
Something I didn't think of. That is very smart.
It's one of those quests that doesn't get played very often, but because we have the Reborn requirement, and that is the Paladin quest line, I'm really looking forward to seeing that Paladin deck.
Yeah, it's primarily a lot of mechs too on top of the top of it, so it does have it has a pretty good shell.
Yeah,
for
Bubble
itself.
Bot is really strong, getting a board full of like taunts with a divine shield. Like, oh geez. The XL Secret Mage seems strong. Like it's a seems like a good deck to me. And of course the Undead Death Knight looks like actually some pretty strong discover effects because the card pool is so small with a Marrowgar on the top end there. So that should be a lot of fun. And then let's look quickly also over at SchmoopieDaddy's decks. He brought a couple of Highlander decks, so the requirements expand a little bit. Rather than 6 of each, it increases to 8 of each. The Discover, the Undead, and the Reborn.
Oh yeah, for the XL decks, yeah.
For the
But
XL decks.
I don't believe these are XL Highlanders.
Oh, or then I can't tell. I get every time there's a Highlander list, it throws me off because it tweaks the sizing of everything.
Yeah, it does.
SchmoopieDaddy brought Shaman, Priest, Hunter, and Death Knight, and Stazari banned the Shaman. So we got a Highlander Priest.
Too. That's Totem Shaman, and as we know from ladder, that is always a strong pick.
We've been lovingly calling it the Drooler deck, right? So
yeah.
So a Reno Priest, which honestly is pretty strong, right? I mean, you can play it on ladder to legend
really
right now.
Good. Yeah.
A lot of love for this Highlander Hunter.
Yep.
It's kind of different, but the same, like, right? That we talked about on the podcast tonight, that this actually seems like a pretty fun deck and pretty viable. And then lastly, again, this is a triple Undead Death Knight. Oh no, this is Frost though. Look at this.
Frost.
This
is Frost DK. Yeah, this is similar to what I have a similar type of deck.
Frostworm's Fury is a really strong card. It's infuriating. It freezes your whole board and does damage and creates a 5/5. Yeah.
It's annoying for sure.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I'll message the players that they can start whenever they're ready. Any thoughts on what they should play first, or any final thoughts about the decks at all?
I think that so far everything looks really impressive with their deck building, and I'm just really excited to see these matches.
Yeah. As for leads, I agree with Hydra on the decks. I think these decks are very, very interestingly thought out, and well made. I think I would almost want to. I almost might be expecting a double Death Knight, just to try and get a quick win with it. But Highlander Priest also seems like a pretty good idea for Schmoopie to play.
It does.
It definitely has definitely had quite a lot of buzz from people building. This is a Reno Shadow Priest. It is Dark Bishop Benedictus in the deck. I know for a couple of weeks now the deck has been touted as a strong bring. So
all right, here we go. They are queuing into the first match here. So let's.
So Stazari has brought the mage, and Schmoopie has decided to bring that the Death Knight, which would be the triple Frost.
Yep.
And it's the secret mage for Stazari.
Ooh, rigged fair game in the opening hand feels good.
That's a keep.
Yeah. Something to note is that there is no something to note in the mage is that there's no way to make that secret cost 0, which is something that makes secret mage very deadly. Is having like Cabal Lackey or 2-mana card that does it.
Right.
So it is a little interesting with the deck restrictions. How this deck ends up playing.
We try to avoid having like pure meta decks, so that we can
exactly.
Reach for the skies.
And SchmoopieDaddy choosing to go face.
That's a very smart play because that 3 damage. You got to chunk somebody from 35 to 0, and Mermy is a sticky minion at least, so it'll have 2 lives. And here, decision point is probably whether to remove the 3/1 completely or to go ahead and play a 2-mana minion, opts for the scientist. We'll just remove the 3 attack.
I like it. I mean, I think the scientist, like, it pulls a secret from your deck, right? So it thins your deck. It makes your draw a little bit more consistent. Like, maybe Stazari plays the... I do like the inclusion of the Sketchy Stranger because it has the secret synergy. And
I agree.
It's not a bad play on 3 because a lot of the other class secrets, or at least the Paladin secrets, cost 1 typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we could possibly got a contract conjurer for free here. Or
not. Opts to find the mage secret, sees objection effigy duplicate.
Objection is such a good card.
Objection's so strong.
Yeah, we got 2 free contract conjurers.
Oh my.
Yep.
Wait, and which secret? Duplicate. I actually really like duplicate because, like, just the value, right? You're gonna get a free 6/6.
He might just end up getting. Yeah, so Swoopy's not going to see the duplicate coming.
You never see it coming, though. You never.
It doesn't clear. It doesn't actually get to clear, but we'll have to tank it. So it won't be free right away. The Sketchy Stranger.
No, but
getting a 2 or less secret will
with
do
that,
it.
If Stazari
Or with the objection.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
This is starting to look like a bit of a blowout for the mage.
Like SchmoopieDaddy sweating bullets over there. I'm sorry, but
yeah, for sure.
We don't normally see duplicate played, but I think that was like really a heads up decision by Stazari because just the value there, like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's just not going to be a way to remove the board, and so Shmoopie has to concede, and that is a quick win for the secret mage.
That went extremely well for Stazari. Well played.
Yeah, and it's difficult to it's tough for me not to overemphasize how that deck has 40 cards, and that drew extremely well.
Yeah, that was
obviously the Discover played a big factor, discovering a duplicate. But there's not that many secrets in the deck, and the Rig Fair and the RFG was pulled. I mean, Shmoopie just couldn't quite get going in the middle of that game while the mage got a lot. But I think from here, I think if any deck could potentially falter, it might be this Paladin. But
I'm so excited to see it.
Has the early radar detector. That's gross.
Yeah, radar detector is very strong. It's going to draw so many cards.
I don't think you mulligan anything away from this. Almost, maybe besides Bubblebot. Like, I think maybe you just don't keep Bubblebot because you're not going to play that many stuff before turn 4.
Stazari does have the coin though, so.
Yeah, you're right.
Although, if any deck has a chance against it, the Reno Priest, because there's just so much value there, like, may be able to sustain. And actually, we see, oh gosh, SchmoopieDaddy just picked up the Reno Jackson as well. But
it's Diamond too.
The Hysteria there is going to come in clutch.
Yep.
As will the Potion of Madness, potentially. But
you only got 2 mechs on the bottom of the deck, so that's pretty underwhelming, all things considered.
Tempo
we've
Brand.
got the soft taunt out there right now.
I think we see the hand buff come out, right? Just because, like, what a juicy
There's so many
hand.
minions. Yeah, there's so many minions in hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can personally see that there's no. I mean, that's really good. Just drew Astalor off of that.
Yeah, that's.
Here I was saying there wasn't a whole lot to come off of it, only to draw one of the best cards that you could duplicate, that you can make 2-ups, which is Astalor, and not going to get the effect of dealing 2 damage, but I mean the hero power did it, so.
A game.
Yeah.
But now we got some cheap mechs coming out.
Gosh.
This is a flood. If I've ever seen one. But let's not forget that mass hysteria that's sitting in hand
Yep,
for
exactly.
SchmoopieDaddy.
Yep. This security bot getting quite large is going to be very good for Schmoopie. Unfortunately, has to lose a lot of things.
Gosh.
I
I
can't
guess-
wait to see what happens here.
That divine shield is gonna really like save a couple of these cards potentially.
Does not save the security of Tron, which is pretty much, I think, all you really care about. So, all in all, a positive result.
That could have been a lot worse for Stazari.
Yeah, I think it's still a I guess could see it as a positive for both, but losing that automaton
Yeah.
is pretty big.
Wow.
Yeah. Mothership.
Yeah, Mothership is the pick there for sure.
Like,
I actually really like the inclusion of Blingtron. So if SchmoopieDaddy plays a weapon, you know, like the needle or whatever, that
Blingtron was a discover.
Oh, was it? Was it? All right.
Yeah, it was discovered off the amalgam. But I mean, this just looks really bad. Like, this looks really tough. What is their potential? Like, there's. I don't even know.
I mean,
Gonna have to do some stuff to clear the 5.
Potion of Madness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hero Power. We also have.
Oh, Cathedral. Yeah, Cathedral. Make it a 3 attacker.
A little too early for Reno. That was gonna do nothing at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Ooh, that is a
it's
lot
tough.
of damage, though. My goodness.
Having a mech. Yeah, you're right. It's a lot. The mech warper. The Blingtron could really.
If you
Are
go
they
for the
things?
Blingtron to hopefully get a good weapon.
Hope a Kel'Thuzad
Give your
is
minions +1/+1.
lethal. Give your minions lethal.
Wow!
Oh my
That's
gosh!
such a scam. Like,
Wow!
that's such a oh my gosh, that's brutal.
That was why Blingtron was selected
That's incredible.
in the Discover or whenever it happened. Wow, that was what was needed.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah. So now Stazari only has to win with his Death Knight, with his undead Death Knight.
What a pull from Blingtron!
Yeah. And then from here it's just Schmoopie deciding. I think Schmoopie should probably just go back to the Priest. Priest should be a pretty decent matchup into aggro.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
and then from there it's deciding which way you want to go between Death Knight and Hunter if he gets the win.
Selfishly, like I always want to see it go to 5 games just because it's fun for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But wow, that was quite a match right there.
Yeah.
And even though SchmoopieDaddy did draw pretty strongly in that game as well.
Yeah.
But wow, Stazari, well done.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned on the show like the power of aggro. Like it's been in full display in these last couple of matches. I mean, I don't know if Secret Mage is considered aggro, but it certainly isn't.
It can be quite aggressive when you get 0 mana 6/6s.
It certainly played the aggro role when you got 0 mana 6/6s getting dropped. Turn 2, an interesting play. Could go for the Necrotic Mortician. Just use up all the mana, get another Unholy Spell. Could coin out a Viciate here for a spell. I think I personally might have landed on the Mortician. We do get a Graveyard Shift to summon 2 Reborn zombies, but
Yeah, I think I like the
was
Necrotic Mortician a little bit better, just because it's
I'm not using the coin, and it's still on curve. Schmoopie just quickly hero powering the minion and passing. Nothing really to play. Has Zephyrus and can just look for a pretty good Zephyrus play at some point here.
Well, his hand is so strong between Zeph and Kartut Defender and Reno and the Behemoth. It's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but with caster vision, it almost looks like it's impossible to lose. There's so much healing and control in that hand.
Absolutely, yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
maybe
there's a Marrowgar and Necrotic Mortician can pull some stuff, but
that location there, their location's quite strong. Construct quarter, very likely to come down to remove the egg, and which will summon a 3/3 and the 4/5 rusher.
Take out that school teacher. Get the board back.
This definitely still looks fine for the. I mean, this looks fine also for Schmoopie. He's going to use the Najak Hexen to just take the rusher, and yeah, that's a very smart play. And the last thing is Light of the Naru to heal back up to full health.
Brutal.
So that's really good. Grave Strength active now with 5. 5+ corpses. Horn, Heartstrike, Obliterate. None of these play too well, but maybe you take the Horn of Winter for the Mana Crystal refresh.
Yeah, the Obliterate was chosen. I mean,
I like it because
it's hard to argue with that, right? Destroy any minion that you choose. Deal 3 damage to your hero.
Definitely.
Like if SchmoopieDaddy gets something down that Stazari doesn't want to be played again, bounce back, whatever, we could take it out with Obliterate.
Yeah.
Well, it's great for like the Behemoth or cards like that you don't want to run in a bunch of minions into their lifesteal taunt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So looking ahead at the next couple of turns, looking at Schmoopie's list, I mean, we see hand, but if you're Stazari, you're thinking, okay, Kartut Defender can come down next turn. And then on turn 7, maybe they drew really well and they have Blackwater Behemoth. Like it's kind of my answer to that.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, I'm using.
All right. What are we gonna get? There. Soulmere. I think that's an amazing choice.
Soulmere is such an amazing pick. I agree. The one thing that Soulmere does is it really hurts Marrowgar because everything in Marrowgar is the same stats.
And as you can see each other's lists, they are open once submitted after the deadline. We can see each other's lists, right? So SchmoopieDaddy will be aware that at some point Lord Marrowgar will be dropped.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. And
Everybody needs a castle.
oh wow.
Okay, well the Scourge is definitely a really good card.
Oh yeah, snap pick there. That was
Schmoopie might need a second Soulmere.
Schmoopie has a Zephyrus though as well. Zephyrus Twisting Nether is definitely a possibility as later in the game. We do see the second Construct Quarter use on the hero power. It really is painful as a Death Knight player to have your 4/5s become 4/1s like almost every time. For sure. Identity theft. Oh, he sees the Marrowgar in hand and he takes it for himself.
Well, they can
Construct Quarter as well. That's so good.
Wow. Well, and yeah, I mean, other classes can use corpses if they discover a Death Knight card. So
they're just not visible to them at the time, right? The corpses.
They become visible I think they'll become visible. I thought it would become visible now to them. I don't know if we can see it, but yeah, I think Schmoopie can see how many corpses he would have now at this point.
Oh, I almost just like hero power and grave strength just to.
I mean, it puts a lot of pressure.
Sure. I would agree. I agree with that. I mean, you could force out a Zephyrus if you want. You can maybe say, well, maybe they're holding something, so it's just gonna be good to do that. But I think we're gonna see Possessifier here, and I mean, well, like an interesting play.
Taking a more cautious play at this point.
Yeah, it's more cautious line. Yeah.
Sometimes putting them on the clock is better, but Stazari's won 2 games in a row, so obviously it's good decision making.
Yeah, we do see the Soul Mirror dropped by SchmoopieDaddy here.
Ooh.
So, and he will be able to clean up the 2-1s actually, which means that there's just less damage going face next turn, potentially. So
It's got to be so tempting to play the Marrowgar, but I think you try to like withhold as long as you can, right?
I guess I'm wondering. Like, I look at the list. Is it maybe? I mean, I guess if you run it into a Psychic Scream, like that's
There it
really
is.
brutal. But here comes the Marrowgar.
Those are
Saul
some
That's
Wow.
a 17.
golems.
So
Yowza.
17.
And
I'm
we're
trying.
on 9 mana, not
I don't.
yeah. Shadow Word Ruin will remove a lot of this. Brawl, Ruin, Mass Dispel.
Ooh.
Mass Dispel is huge, but Schmoopie doesn't. He goes for the Ruin, which is great. It's still really great, and then he wants to play Cathedral as well, which is good.
Well, and the Shadowward Ruin kills the Marrowgar as well. So if he didn't, like, they would have all become 1/1s, but it.
And then the Grave Strength. I mean, I guess Grave Strength then at that point could still.
Grave Strength is a card. Yeah.
There's Scourge. Scourge is dropped. Nothing too amazing though. The Undertaker being an 8/5, a little annoying probably.
The problem is you have to know
a lot of attack
with Unholy Death Knight that if you don't clear the board, you risk like them
Grave Strength.
buffing it with Grave Strength and you just lose. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he drops the Behemoth, but like he needs a way to clear some of these cards.
Yeah, his Lord Marrowgar should be pretty okay here. He is 18, so that's a lot. Yeah, he'll definitely have a good set of clears. It's really weird. These 2 Marrowgars have been pretty unfortunate. Like, they're not spreading it out very well. It's just going on 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So this 15/15 is great, but it's like, if the stats were spread out among other things, that'd be a bit more desired. Fortunately, he's going to be able to remove a ton of things here. But now the corpses are piling back up for the Death Knight. So the Grave Strength is once again active at +3.
I think we see Obliterate come down on the 15. Right.
I agree. I think you have to remove that. If you don't, you're dead. So he'll take a little bit of damage to remove remove the biggest threat. It's not
Still like quite a board over
yeah,
there.
definitely.
Even removing, I mean, it's still what is that 14 damage on SchmoopieDaddy's side.
Yeah, it's still a lot of damage, absolutely. But then now there's taunts, so there is enough corpses on Death Rattle to get another taunt. Oh, Unholy Frenzy's gonna come out, so we're just gonna see. So we're just gonna see all of this just resummon. Resummon.
Really good.
Good heads up play there.
Good
With
heads
the
up
Death
play,
Rattles,
yeah.
that was smart. That was a great move by Stazari.
Yeah.
Oh, Schmoopie Daddy, you're in trouble, buddy.
What do you do now?
Behemoth definitely is
Yeah.
definitely the play here. I think you just gotta hope to hit one of the. Gotta kind of just go for the removal. You can clear off the chill. You can clear out the chill water here. You do have the yep. He does have the Reborn taunts. Reborn, so that's nice. Oh, he doesn't get the heal.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
I think that's
really
game.
unfortunate.
It's absolutely game. I'm pretty sure. Hero power plus Grave Strength should do it.
Hero power first.
Actually, it's lethal on board. Oh, that's unfortunate. The 1 and 3 to not heal. Any other swing would have.
Stazari's doing some quick math.
Yeah, that's lethal, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just lethal on board, but you can hero
I'm
power.
surprised.
And
I mean,
Grave
I'm not
Strength
sure if he like. Yeah, it's very clearly lethal. I don't know. I shouldn't say it's very clearly lethal, but especially just throwing in the hero power for sure should do it.
In my name.
The unholy DK just kept coming. That unholy frenzy, I think, absolutely saved the game.
Wow.
Good games. Oh my goodness.
Well, we like to see them go long sometimes. Also seeing just some phenomenal gameplay, draws, everything there from Stazari was awesome. But well played to both contenders there.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
All right, hello.
Hey.
I got absolutely rolled. Holy cow.
You did. You did. That was pretty amazing. Though I mean those free 6/6s, 3 free 6/6s.
I think RNG might have had a little bit to do with the fortunes of this match, but it like credit to him, it was not like.
You know, it was really interesting though when
you
like the discover a secret, like we were like, oh, you could choose this or this, and like he decided to choose duplicate. We're like, but I think it was a really heads up play because it ended up giving him like 2/0 mana 6/6s.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Did he have the contractors in hand at the time?
Believe so. I'd have to rewatch it. They were on board. I don't know.
He drew one on turn.
Hey, Stazari, welcome and congratulations on the sweep. Good games.
Congrats, dude.
G'day, guys. Yeah, thanks for that. Honestly, I was expecting to get stomped there. It was just RNG was in my favor.
Well played. Yeah, those were some decisive victories, and I don't know. I really loved your decks. I think all around, like, seemed good. We were just chatting about the like your discover the secret and choosing the duplicate to get the 6/6s. Like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was tossing up between throwing down the rigged fair game early, so it's like, oh, that way I've got it ready to go for the contract conjurer. Drew that on turn 2, but then the priest, not priest, mad scientist, he pulled one. I'm like, well, I guess we'll go for the keysmith, see what we get, and the duplicate came up. I'm like, get 2 keysmiths or get 2 conjurers. Win-win.
Right? Either way is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it paid off.
I looked at that secret mage list early, and on paper, I was like, man, I can bully this. And then I played it on ladder, and I actually gained a lot of respect for the list. It's funny, the early discovers, especially the cheap stuff, really give the list a little bit more life than I gave it credit for. I thought, like, it's crazy to cut Cabal Lackey. It's crazy to, to not have any sort of mana cheat from hand and just sort of pull it from deck. But you made it work, man. And like, I mean, I just got swept. So like, shows what I know. But yeah, no, that list in particular, like, stuck out to me as just like, yeah, I can get at this list. And man, it got at me.
It serves you right for promoting Secret Mage so much, hey?
Yeah, I suppose so. It's karma. This is just karma coming back.
Oh, so. One card in particular that really stood out. I apologize, I haven't played Hearthstone in like a year, but Sketchy Stranger. Just having that like flexibility. Like last week, I lost to Frank because he had a Sketchy Stranger in his Demon Hunter, which pulled an explosive trap and got me to 1 health as I was about to have lethal. You know, and I lost because of that. I'm like, I've got to get Sketchy Stranger in here, and I think that one really paid off in the Death Knight as well. I believe I had that one give me a spell, the zombies, which then helped me roll into the Marigar and everything. Yeah, it's just I'm still stunned. That the Blingtron, I think that one was me just going, let's throw it for some content, and then the Blingtron's like, nah, you've got this anyway.
Nah, dude. The universe reached out and said, listen, this dude brought the spicier lists. We reward him. Yogg shined in your favor. I was found lacking, and that's all good. That's just Hearthstone.
I really like the Blingtron anyways, because if SchmoopieDaddy had played like the needle or the weapon that, what's it called, the sphere of sapience, right? Like, you can always Blingtron to force like break the weapon, But oh my gosh, getting the like surprise lethal with it. And I thought even if you equipped a weapon, it's a little bit extra burst that you wouldn't see on the board. But
it was a lot of extra burst. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Like,
I don't know if I had any way to clear that board either. Like I had in both those games, I had Reno in hand and like at no point was safe enough to use it.
Yeah.
It felt bad in the last game using Soul Mirror when I used it. But when I used Identity Theft, I saw that he had the Grave Strength in hand.
Yeah.
So having one... So I had to kind of play around Grave Strength, and I had to play around that, like, all of a sudden, like, this wide board that you know, I watched get put up. I was just like, this is going to kill me if I don't answer this. Whereas if maybe I didn't know that Grave Strength was in hand, I would have gambled a little bit and maybe done a little partial and tried to nip at the edges, but I couldn't. I had to go full on.
Yeah, I suspected you might have known about the Grave Strength after the Identity Theft, because every time I put a wide board, you just had just enough clear to get rid of it. I'm like, oh, he knows. But then at the end there is like just getting the Behemoth down and hitting the Divine Shield, so giving me that one extra minion.
Yeah, the 1 in 3 to not
I
heal.
cringed when that
That was
happened.
the killer.
The freaking Bulver off of the Scourge.
I didn't even realize Bulver's undead now. Sorry, I'm a bit out of date, but yeah, what?
I do want to say I appreciate if you haven't played Hearthstone in a year and you're back and you're playing in our tournament. Like, I really appreciate that. I think that's really cool.
Yes, thank you.
I couldn't miss it. As I said, my dad was watching the game, and he was asking a bit about him. Like, you're not bringing the strongest decks. The challenges are there that you've really got to think and create, you know, these really almost janky decks. And that's what I loved about Hearthstone. So I was like, oh yeah, when you guys announced he was coming back, I was, I think, one of the first to sign up. I'm like, you're not missing me, that's for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. That's wonderful to hear. Well, I'm glad. I'm sorry, SchmoopieDaddy, but I'm glad that your dad got to. I'm glad that your dad got to watch you win a very decisive victory on stream.
100%. This is nowhere near the tops of my humiliation on stream. So this is I will feel good being a sacrificial offering to Yogg on this one.
If you
like
watch
I
it
said,
back,
the person who...
watch it back later when it's on YouTube and you can hear our comments and stuff. But there was a couple times we were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, like we were just freaking out. It was.
I was doing the same thing. Trust me.
I felt so much pain for Schmoopie because I know I've been on both ends. I've been on the end where I rolled, and I've been rolled, and I know I know that the dichotomies of it feels terrible. It's like, oh man, like I'm trying and I'm doing my best and I just can't get there. Like, it's rough. But I know as a player you're a very good Schmoopie. You will bounce back and
oh yeah.
Well, somehow from this humiliation, from the fires of that, because on paper I thought like, oh man, I think I brought better decks. I think I'm pretty set in this.
Yeah, I
agree
on
that one
too.
Well, but like I don't know if I was able to bring it up in the podcast, but something that's really interesting about when you make Discover a keyword for a week, it means there's a little bit of extra scam in the situation. And yes, I practiced with Azalea earlier in the week, and like I discovered a random Mind Blast. And like he was really beating himself up about like, oh man, I should have played around that Mind Blast. I'm like, dude, that was discovered. It's like, that wasn't main deck in your deck. I'm like, no, I snagged that off a pawn reading like 15 turns ago. How did you know?
Because you were playing Reno, because he was playing Reno Shadow Priest, which is probably like a variation of what he brought to the thing. And I was like, well, I mean, I didn't know you were playing Reno Shadow. I just figured playing Shadow Priest, like you got Mind Blast in your deck, so you snagged it off you got it off the Shadow Visions. So I didn't know.
Right.
That was also coming off a very. I won't make this about me, but I will make it about you guys.
I do agree.
Yeah,
the Discovers, it did make the RNG factor this week so much more. Like I found with last week, you built your deck, and you had your game plan, and you sort of stuck to it. And okay, how do I tech against if someone did this or this? Whereas this one, like you saw in the final game with the Death Knights, I kept both my the Nerubian Viziers. Yeah. Because I'm just like, stuff this, let's throw it to the wind and see what they do. And one gave me the Scourge, and the other one gave me, I guess, those Reborns, which didn't do much. But like the Scourge, I think, was the defining factor. Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Well, we
I
tried
felt really
to.
good that first game. I felt really good. Like I'm like, all right, my Frost DK is set up to roll this secret mage. I'm gonna head on tempo. I'm gonna stick this brand. I'm gonna go into school teacher, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, this is not okay.
When you got the brand into Astalor, the top deck Astalor, we were like, oh gosh, like what a draw, what the perfect thing for Astalor, or for Bran, but it didn't didn't matter.
No,
I was very scared about leaving that Brad on the board.
You got to get there, and I didn't have a better tempo play, right? Like I was either going to play Cathedral or that.
Yep.
So it's just like, all right, let's just get ahead and try to stay ahead. So sorry I didn't see the Highlander 100 guys. But like that would have lost too. Like I don't.
It's all good.
It was not
I was
my
scared of that one. That was the one I was thinking of banning.
It was not my night for it was not my night. Is it Stazari? Is that how we pronounce it?
Stazari or just Staz?
Yeah. Staz. Well, listen, it was Staz's night, and he played great, and he knew his decks, and you knew he knew how to. I tried to pilot that. I tried to pilot the mech paladin. And I tried to pilot the secret mage on ladder. The secret mage surprised me. I gained some ranks with that. The mech paladin did not go so well, but you knew how to pilot it a lot better than I did.
You know, actually,
and
that
showed.
Blingtron.
Your board got really buffed there, and I think that playing the bubble bots to give everything Divine Shield really saved your board from the hysteria, mass hysteria or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. What was your approach to the deck building this week? Since we've got your decks up on the screen.
I'll be brutally honest. I had 2.5 hours on a train ride home to make them. No, it was pretty much. As I said, I haven't played for over a year, and my thought going to this tournament was just a lot of archetypes that I used to enjoy. And Mech Paladin.
Mech Paladin was very strong a year ago.
Yeah, with the bubble bot, as you mentioned in particular, and pulling out with radar detector. And so when I looked up the Reborns, I saw, Paladin have Making Mummies. It's actually the only Reborn card I didn't have. So I crafted it for this week. I'm like, I've got to make a deck with it now.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. And then Secret Mage, I apologize for anyone who may hate me for this. I did enjoy Secret Mage back in the day.
We all
it's okay,
did.
me too.
Before it became OP, though. So I had to bring that. And then I've always been enjoying the Abyssal Curse on Warlock. But I was sort of glad that one got banned because I did take that one to ladder a couple times, and I just felt that I could only win against like a greedy deck. If Shmoopie brought an aggro deck, I would have been smoked there. That's for sure.
I've played enough Curse Lock that like when I looked at the list, it felt like a real list, and that felt closer to that almost felt closer to something I was comfortable and scared of as opposed to the other lists. Like the Secret Mage list on paper, I was like, there's no way this thing's functional. And then I got on ladder and I was just like, oh wait, yeah, it is functional. Look at that. But the Curse Lock was something I've actually been playing a lot recently, and I was like, this has a Gigafin scam in this. Like I don't want any part of this.
Yeah.
I was even thinking of throwing in Ticketus in it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm going a little bit too RNG heavy with that one.
A little bit.
But yeah, and I'm still new to Death Knight, so I do apologize. I did sort of do a little quick Google. Okay, what's performing well with Death Knight, and just sort of pulled together a few of the cards that looked well. Yeah. I tried Frost, but I can't seem to get Frost to work just in terms of like how you play it. Whereas I found Unholy, just keep throwing stuff on the board until it sticks, and then Grave Strain for Marigar to finish it off.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm kind of in that same boat.
If you're used to playing like a tempo deck, the Unholy's the better route to take, the safer and better route to take that way. But if you have a lot of experience with Frost, it's a great deck.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't pick Frost for mine.
Oh, I know you didn't, yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll have to give Frost a try before the tournament's over. Get some practice in before then.
Yeah, this Death Knight is definitely the theme of this series. So,
yeah.
But that being said, I don't think we required it most weeks. I think it was kind of the theme of this week based on Arthas turning into the Lich King, and it was like, well, we probably should force the Death Knight deck this week to fit the theme.
I actually really love the fact that you've made it this tournament. Everyone has to bring one class, and you can't ban it, because then you can sort of build your other decks a little bit around it, as well as Death Knight, for example, this one would they bring? How would you counter it with your own Death Knight and whatnot? So I really loved that idea for this tournament.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. It does add a little extra element. Sometimes the class you have to bring too is the weakest class, and like I think that was the case when we had to bring mage
last week.
Yeah.
Last week.
Mage was like by far
Mage
the
felt
weakest. It was
really
just like
bad
how do
last
you?
week.
It was like you're basically guaranteed. Okay, how do I shore up my fourth deck, and how do I make this the best it's going to be? And sometimes like it's a little bit of a wet noodle fight's all right. Right, like if you got to be creative and it takes some skill.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes you just think, and then it also comes into how are you going to queue up your decks. If you've got one weak one, two strong ones, do you want to start with the weak one first? You've technically got 3 chances to win with it, or save it to last and hopefully you've creamed the first 2 and still get those chances. Last week I personally enjoyed it because I brought Mech Mage. Shout out to Blue Train, who's helped me hit Legend with Mech Mage multiple times last year. So I had to try to bring that one in, but unfortunately, that's the one that lost to the explosive trap.
No.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. That it was a great opportunity to be able to show off a little bit here. Shmoopie, I don't know if you remember, you helped me out immensely last year. You and Jules, you guys were the ones I always went to for advice. So it was sort of great to finally actually get a chance to play. As I said, just
absolutely,
pour the bad luck.
And no, listen, GG's, and like I don't personally feel like I played all that poorly. I just sometimes just you play great and things don't roll your way, and it was not my night, and that's all right.
And
it was your night. Your
win
dad was watching, so like I hope you. I hope you. I'm happy for you in the moment, and GG's. And listen, I'll kick your butt next year or something like that.
What are you talking about? I'll be seeing you in the finals, yeah?
Oh, I like it.
Lost
I like
2
it.
weeks, so that's
2
gonna
losses
be tough.
is tough.
But
yeah.
We'll see.
But
we'll
maybe.
see. I mean,
Maybe.
we kind of design it to morph around win rate, and so it's so difficult to tell early on because it really could be anyone's going to the finals depending on a whole number of factors. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
Yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, thanks again, guys. And looking forward to watching the VOD of this, see your reactions on some of those plays, because if you're yelling as loud as I was, it's probably going to be a very good video to watch.
I think we were. There's a couple times I didn't have anything intelligible to say except like, oh my gosh, like, what? And so it should be up on YouTube I don't know, tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, take a look and you can watch us react.
And thank you guys for putting on the show for us.
Oh yeah, it's so entertaining from this end. And it's it's great because we have caster vision, so we can see both hands. We're kind of trying to predict what we think is going to happen, and sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. It's always fun.
And sometimes Blingtron shows up.
Oh my gosh, the unexpected things like that is really when we lose our minds. It's so hilarious.
Yeah. The funny part was it pulled the card that we talked about during the show with the hope of Kel'Thuzad. That was
right. We just talked about it. It was so funny. I remember we're
that
sitting
was
here
randomly generated. Oh, that was randomly generated.
It was from Blingtron.
Oh my god.
Because we talked about it in the podcast. Like, what does that do? I don't remember.
Yeah, because I played an even Reno Hunter.
So good.
And it's played and puts in some work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right.
Wow. Well, thank you both so much for letting us stream the match. It was a lot of fun and good game. Well played to both of you. SchmoopieDaddy, I'm sorry you got swept, but it was very entertaining on our end. So
listen, as long as it's good content. I mean, Azalea was kind of like, oh man, I'm 1-1 in streamed matches. I'd shudder to think about what my streamed matches record is.
I've only played in 3. This is only my 3rd listener series, so
if I'm 500, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So GG Staz, well deserved.
All right.
Thanks, guys, and until next time.
Absolutely.
GG.
Good game. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned next week for another streamed match of
More to be wild.